What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day today. Now, Bitcoin, very interesting morning. We've been talking about this consolidation pattern for Bitcoin. I told you yesterday how we could possibly play that trade. You could see right here, actually, if you did buy at this lower level or you tried to put in a long, which I did have a buy order down at that level. Unfortunately, it missed my order by around $200. So I guess you can't get them all the time, right? But that being said, there is still an opportunity that could present itself. Now, look at this fake out. Now, I was talking about how we were going to start seeing the volatility. Look at this. We fell out right here, right? We fell below this level, and this is what these big players do. They know that, analysts are looking at the charts, they're looking at these levels, and as soon as we broke it, what happened? A lot of people start piling in on their shorts, and then boom, we come up almost exactly to the same level that we opened at, right? So we need to talk about what is happening for Bitcoin. Is this a good thing that we did get bought back up? Are we looking to retest some of these higher levels, at least close the CME futures gap? Well, there was something that actually happened this morning that was a little bit concerning for Bitcoin, just a little bit, but I'm going to talk about why that may have happened, and I actually think there is a reason for that, but I will let you guys know about that. The other interesting thing to talk about is for, everyone out there holding Ethereum. I do hold Ethereum as well, not as much as my Bitcoin, obviously, but Ethereum actually fell harder than Bitcoin, and it fell before Bitcoin. So Bitcoin was actually trading quite stable, and then Ethereum started to tank compared to Bitcoin. So what does this mean? This could be actually giving us a clue as to what we could potentially expect for the coming months. And obviously the biggest question, not for most of you on the channel, we dollar cost average on this channel, but a lot of new people asking, is this actually a good time to buy Bitcoin, or are we looking for another 50% drop from that point? Well, there is one very famous fund manager who actually commented on that, and I am going to play a video clip later on in this video. You should definitely stick around for that because he had some very interesting things to say about Bitcoin and also Spot ETF. Are we ever going to get a Spot ETF? Well, it could be closer than most people think. So if that sounds good to you, you know what to do. If you're not subscribed, definitely consider it. And without further ado, let's get into the short-term chart because this is what everybody's looking at right now. So what we want to do is we want to break out of this wedge right here, or this triangle, whatever you want to call it, pennant, and hopefully come back and then retest, right? You want to come up and retest it down here, and then we could potentially move to the upside. Now, something that I wanted to say was a little bit concerning was, look at this, guys. So you're seeing the NASDAQ is pumping, the Dow is pumping, and in yesterday's video, we were talking about this downtrend right here for the S&P, and look at what we did. We actually broke out to the upside. However, Bitcoin did not break out at the same time that the S&P broke out. So does that mean that they're starting to be non-correlated, or is Bitcoin just a little bit lagging? Well, there's one thing that we know happens, and that is essentially that Bitcoin does have its futures expiry tomorrow, and the last Friday of every month. If you look historically, and we've done videos on this in the past if you've been following, we tend to often see sort of a little bit of a sell either into Friday or on Friday. So we could have potentially seen that this morning. That could have been the fake out that we saw to the downside, right? Because the thing that we did do was we still did defend this legacy trend, right? So this trend down here, you can see this is where we had the capitulation wick right here, right? If I zoom in, you can see right there, look, we had that bounce. And also, even though we did wick below it on a slight fake out, we did in fact still hold this very, very critical level right here at around $28,600. So that is something just worth noting, right? Remember, because we had all this back here, we also had this wick down here, and that is exactly where we're holding up right now. So Bitcoin is in fact still building out that base, and we've talked about that double bottom M-shaped pattern, right? Where you put in the M first, right? Although we did have this right here, so you might, if you don't think that this pattern is valid, I understand where you're coming from. But at the same time, if you just look at this as just a continued move, it still is an M shape. And we did have that capitulation. So we did go lower, right? Or at least we could call it capitulation just for now. We don't know if it truly was it, but for now we're still holding above it. And then essentially you would put in that giant double bottom, and then Bitcoin would actually continue to the upside. Now look at this right here. You can see this candle right here is still green, right? So very interesting to see what we do, guys. Like I said, this move is going to break out in the next 3 days. I 2 days most likely, and we'll have to see. Was this the fake out? Well, this is why I said you do have to wait for that confirmation. So the confirmation for this is, we come up here, right? We come back down. We either retest this level at around 30,600, or we come down to this level and retest this trend. And if we get a bounce off of that, then that is probably where you're going to want to put in a long if you are looking to long this. Now, just keep in mind though, lots of resistance, right? So, as I said, if we do maintain in this bear trend, we may be able to find our way up here, but ultimately, you are going to hit some of these key levels. And if I zoom out, the biggest level right here is sort of this upward sloping trend that was holding us, this green trend. And you can see if we were essentially just to go up straight from where we are today, that's around $37,000, okay? So if you do want to learn how to do that, make sure you check out the tutorial popping up above. There's over $16,000 in bonuses below. And remember, all you got to do is just deposit the money, and then you can trade with those funds for free. And you can't withdraw it, obviously, but you can lose it, and it's essentially free money, or you can actually make money with the free money. So it's a good opportunity, especially if you guys just want to learn how to do it. Make sure you check that out below. But what I am looking at right here also is the DXY. Now, this is the monthly, so it's not that interesting of a chart. I mean, we could switch it to the daily if you kind of want to get a better picture of what it's doing. But you can see that, first, look at this. We did have that resistance right here. We broke out, fake out, and now we're coming back down. And I do believe that the level to look at now is back down here at around 100. And keep in mind, going back to the monthly, if we do break that level, usually the dollar tends to fall quite sharply after that, right? And that usually would be very good for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Now, I know what you're saying about the Fed and all that other stuff. We will talk about that in just a minute. But there was one thing I just wanted to point this out. I did want to give a shout out to Cred over on Twitter. He was talking about this level that we need to watch, and he did say with only 1 week left until the monthly close, absent an imminent and strong rally, May will close as a macro range breakdown. Okay, so this is not good on the macro. Even if the market rallies following the monthly close, that rally must be treated as a bearish retest of support turn resistance at around 35,000 to, guess what, guys? 37,000. So I still believe that we're going to rally. At some point, I believe we're going to close the CME futures gap, and I think that we're going to hit some heavy resistance at around 37,000. And as I had pointed out in the past, we are seeing that the Bitcoin dominance is rising. And actually, before I get to the Bitcoin dominance, remember, guys, I showed you my prediction, and now, of course, I can't find it in here. Of course, I can't find the chart when I'm looking for it. Here we go. So, ultimately, if we did have, that breakdown and that rejection, and actually, wow, look at this, guys. I didn't even notice this. This is crazy. Look at this. Look at where this 100 weekly average is right now. Right now, it's sitting at $37,000. That is crazy. Look at that, guys. So, yeah, I mean, that right there is going to be some heavy resistance for that. The other thing to point out is if we actually look at where this range is right here, VPVR, you can see that the biggest buying volume is around $9,300 for Bitcoin. I know you're saying $9,300. That's crazy. But you can actually see that we start to get that demand at around $13,000. Now, I don't think we're going that low, but I just want to point out that some of these like 7,000, 3,000, these calls are really crazy. So just take that with a grain of salt. But as we can see right here, Ethereum has been breaking down harder, than Bitcoin, and it is testing on this critical level. And if we do switch it to the ETH Bitcoin ratio, we are coming down to some very important levels for Ethereum. But you can see that we already have broken this upward sloping trend right here. So Ethereum was actually outperforming Bitcoin. You can see it was actually trending upwards. It did recently just break that level. And the only reason that I bring that up is because Ethereum is sort of the king of the altcoins. In fact, I don't even really like calling Ethereum an altcoin. I think it should just have its own name. I mean, Ethereum has obviously proven itself at this point, but it still is the number one altcoin. If you want to call it that, it does lead the altcoins. So if Ethereum starts to break down hard against Bitcoin, then it could still get quite ugly for these altcoins, right? Not to say that it's, not a good time if you want a dollar cost average long term. Just know that a lot of these altcoins are very seasonal, right? Flavor of the month, DeFi and then, these NFT platforms, and maybe they have coins and stuff like that, right? I don't know. Metaverse kind of got a little bit of a thing, but then the bear hit and everybody got whatever. So just be careful with that. But I do want to end today on this clip. Actually, I have one more story I want to go over, but I want to show you this interview that was over on Stansberry Research. you got to follow this. It's a 40-minute interview. I can't play all of it. He goes on to talk about this sort of doom loop, right? You might have heard people talk about it, where essentially, no matter what, the Fed is not going to be able to win this battle. Short term, raise the rates, whatever. But eventually, what's going to end up happening? The markets are going to end up crashing. They don't want to go into a recession. Now, a lot of people admit that what you do need to do, what you really should do, is just raise the rates, crash the markets, full-on recession, panic, super hard reset, right? But let's be honest, I don't want that, you don't want that, and I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think their ego will let them do that, right? And he goes on to say in the interview, ultimately that he does think that the Fed and Powell, they're going to raise the rates maybe, but at some point they're going to be pushed against a wall and say, you know what, guys, we can't do this anymore. It's too much. It's not going to work. They are going to have to flip the switch the other way. They are going to have to become dovish. And he says that it's exactly at that point, and we don't know when that'll be, 6 months, 8 months, a year, who knows? But he says it's at that very moment that the hard assets are going to take off like gold. And he specifically mentions Bitcoin. But I just want to play the one part in this video where they do ask him about cryptocurrencies specifically. And I think it's actually a really interesting opinion. So I want to share that with you guys. Let me know if you agree with Lawrence on this.
Because you are one of the few who sees Bitcoin and gold as part of the same team. You're bullish on both.
Yep.
Thoughts on what's going on with the cryptos right now? Is for you, first and foremost, in the space, is it Bitcoin or nothing?
Yeah, for me it's Bitcoin or nothing. I mean, there's so many of us who are. I'm a Bitcoin maximalist, and this is really important. And it's really, these shit coins just piss me off no end. I'm sorry, probably not allowed to say that on the show, but what happened with Luna? I mean, I had a couple of gold guys call me the other day and say, look at what happened with Luna. I'm glad I didn't get into Bitcoin. And I'm like,
right.
No, I mean, these are not the same thing. I mean,
Right.
one of these is a gorilla and one's a sick cat, and Bitcoin's a gorilla and Luna was a sick cat, I mean, it's just, they're not the same thing. And so, unfortunately, there are a lot of cryptos. Look, Bitcoin, the reason I love Bitcoin so much is I was a venture capitalist in my prior life, and I invested in the internet, in '93, and it worked out really well. And I could see the technological innovation the internet represented and what it would do for the world. When I looked at Bitcoin, I read the white paper, I understood the technology. I didn't think of it in financial terms. I looked at it in terms of technology terms.
Yes.
They solved a technical problem that people had been trying for 30 years to solve, which was to create immutable digital scarcity. And when they solved that, it was a big deal, a really, really big deal. And it's the only one that truly has that. There are 18,000 cryptos, and none of those have what Bitcoin has in terms of the truly immutable digital scarcity, although a few are kind of close, but combined with the size of the network and the 100 million plus users.
So let's just take it one step further here and talk, the pain that Bitcoin has gone through now. How much does that concern you? Is this a crypto winter for Bitcoin? Is it temporary?
No. This is another great buying opportunity. So, I mean, just to take you through my journey, I bought some in 2013 for $300. I was buying at Thanksgiving in 2017, and everyone remembers that. Everyone was talking about it at 15, 16,000. Okay, I doubled down, at 3,500. I doubled down at 10,000 a year later, and then doubled down again at 3,500 a year after that. I mean, look, it's early days and it's adoption. And way back then, by the way, we didn't know if the technology was going to make it, but we've now got a lot of years and a lot of innovations that are, leading me to conclude with, pretty high certainty that it's going to make it technically. And so, what you're being given here is just a gift. I mean, it's trading below its 200-day moving average. There's a multiple called the Meyer multiple, which I use very much in pricing Bitcoin, which is comparing the price of Bitcoin to its 200-day moving average. Right now, the price of Bitcoin today has only been this cheap compared to its 200-day moving average 6% of the time of its life, which means that 94% of the time, Bitcoin's more expensive relative to its 200-day moving average than it is right now. I'm buying Bitcoin. I bought some Bitcoin this morning. I'm moving some money around. I'll probably buy some Bitcoin later this week. So to me, this is a buying opportunity. The selling opportunities in Bitcoin come when, everyone with laser eyes is putting down every $1,000 that it goes through, and they're all crazy nuts talking about how it's going to infinity, which, look, it is definitely going up over time, and I suspect we'll see it in the hundreds of thousands within a few years, and I do believe in $1 million a coin, but it takes time, and it's an asset class that's extremely volatile, and that's why, when I advise my clients on it, I say, look, deal with something you can afford to lose, deal with something that you can afford to have an 80% drawdown on, and then dollar cost average it. Just get involved and just buy it on a regular basis, because it's not a 1-year holding or a 2-year holding. I view it as a multi-year, multi-decade holding. I mean, I think I'll end up giving my Bitcoin to my kids, and I think it'll end up being, a pretty substantial amount of purchasing power.
And he's not wrong when he talks about a lot of these altcoins, right? 99% of them are not going to be worth anything, or, even Terra Luna, right? They thought that was too big to fail, and look at how much that fell. So just be very careful out there. If you guys have been watching this channel for a long time, we do buy some altcoins, we do speculate on some altcoins, but I never exceed more than 1 to 2% of my portfolio, and it's always primarily Bitcoin. This is the problem. Before we get into this is the problem. People want to get rich quick. That's what they want. They want to get rich overnight, right? It's the American dream to just be rich and hit the lotto, right? But in reality, usually these get rich quicks, or, trying to chase these pumps, is usually how people get hurt. Whereas Bitcoin is proven, it is sound, it is the hardest asset on planet Earth. And if you consider the fact that Bitcoin is going to $1 million in our lifetime, and I still think that at the peak of the next cycle, we could see $200,000 for Bitcoin, even $300,000 for Bitcoin, then really considering buying right now at 30,000, they say it's not life-changing money, but think about that. One Bitcoin will be worth $1 million, and you shouldn't try to do everything in your power to just get at least one. That's madness to me, guys. So that is just what I wanted to share. And speaking about the Spot ETF, so ARK Investment Management, the firm led by Kathy Wood, has filed for another Spot Bitcoin exchange traded fund, ARK 21 shares Bitcoin ETF. The SEC has until January 21st of next year to decide whether to approve it or deny it. So the latest filings are ARK's second attempt for a physical Bitcoin ETF. They obviously rejected the first one. Following the rebuff, Wood asserted that the firm would apply again, while adding, I find it fascinating that they have approved the Bitcoin futures and not the underlying. It just doesn't make sense to me, especially considering the fees associated with that kind of an ETF. Several other companies, obviously Grayscale, etc., they've tried, but they've yet to be successful. But guys, it is around the corner. And I think that long term, when we look back on what's going on right now and all this situation, I mean, you have to really consider this, okay? So Fed is raising rates. They stopped printing money. We have a war going on. We're in a potential recession. Stocks are getting absolutely hammered, and yet Bitcoin is still trading above its previous all-time high. 50% above it for that fact, right? We're sitting at around 30,000. We were at 20,000, right? You got to think about that. That has something to say for Bitcoin's strength. It does show you that there are buyers. And even though we're going in this boring sideways consolidation pattern, that we're putting in right now, ultimately, this is really strong for Bitcoin, guys. Super strong for Bitcoin. So let me know what you guys think about that below. I scribble all over these charts, and then I open them up in another tab, and then I have to do this. So whatever, it doesn't matter. But ultimately, guys, as you can see right here, we are forming this. I am still looking for either a breakout or a breakdown. So how you want to play this is you can try to play the breakout or the breakdown as it's happening, but look what happened to the people that tried to play it down here. They got wrecked, right? So wait for the confirmation, which the shorts didn't get. So everybody that was shorting, and if you got wrecked, it's because you didn't wait for the confirmation, right? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to wait for the confirmation of the breakout, watch the retest, and that is when you want to put in the trade. So obviously I'll let you guys know if that's what or when I do it, I'll let you guys know. Also follow me over on Twitter and get on the Telegram group as well. We do also talk over there. All of those links are below in the description. I love you guys. You're awesome. I know it's been boring, but trust me, this is how it goes. It's boring. And then, oh my God, it's crazy and everything's going wild. And what's going on? And how did this happen, right? You guys know how the markets react. So keep your eyes on all those things I said. Thank you for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. You're the reason that I make these videos. Hope you have a wonderful, beautiful, blessed day. My name is K-Dub. This is Crypto Zombie. And if you haven't checked out these videos popping up right here, right now, check them out. Until next time, stay crypto. And of course, peace out.